Welcome, welcome, welcome. Family business. Family business. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited that we are spending time together. I feel you out there. So many of you are connecting with me online, through my blog, through social media, sending me messages. My most favorite thing recently, some of you are sending me links to videos and articles. You're like, look at this entrepreneur, look at this family business owner. So I just know that it's catching on at this point. So thank you so much, because I don't know everything. This is a collective effort. We're here to encourage one another, learn from one another, and share ideas that will hopefully impact the next generation. And that's what family business can do. That's the power of family business, because you're working together and you're bringing that culture home. You don't need to overdo it. I think some entrepreneurs overdo it. They're talking about dinner at the dinner table all day long, at the reunion table, on and on. Sure, you need to set boundaries, but your little ones are watching you, your peers, your cousins, your brothers and sisters. They're watching, and it's soaking in, and they're like, wow, we can do this. Okay. Family business is on. So if you're new to the show, what are we about? Again, this is a movement, if you will. I think it's a movement at this point of entrepreneurs, individuals who are saying, you know what? We have the ability to make our way. We can do that. And we can do that not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our communities, and then eventually for the world. Business building is not evil. It is not evil. And in fact, I'm going to dovetail into that today. Last week, we talked a lot about priorities for community development, what that might look like. So make sure you download that show and go to my Facebook page, go to my blog, daphnemallory.blogspot.com. Check out the show. We talked about priorities around community development, like demolishing poverty. What? Can you do that? Don't they have nonprofits for that? No. I mean, yeah, they do, but I want you to do it. The entrepreneur, the business owner, the one making profits. Ooh, she said profits. Yes. The one making profits and reinvesting it back into their homes and communities and the world. So yes, you, Mr. or Mrs. Entrepreneur. So make sure you listen to that show so you get a sense of the priorities we talked about. But today, and hopefully I left you kind of itching, going, okay, so now what? Now that you've determined and defined your priorities as a family, now I want you to actually go do something about it. Yeah, like raise money, get money together, and go do it. So today's show is, go do it. Get her done. That's what we're going to talk about today. And if you're new to the show again, daphnemallory.blogspot.com. You can learn more about me, my story, my passion around this topic of family business. You can get more strategies and tips and all of that good stuff. daphnemallory.blogspot.com. And then, of course, Facebook, Daphne Mallory. Don't forget the ESQ. Make sure you get the right Daphne. If she's not talking about family business, it's not me. Now, if she is talking about family business, make sure it's still me. And the family business I'm talking about is encouraging all of you to enter into business together. And you are tuned in to KDKI 103.9 FM. It was interesting. I was like driving around the other day and I heard myself on the radio. I was like, wow, what is she talking about? So that was fun. So you can check me out if you're in the Magic Valley as well. So how do we do love, right? Because that's love, when you are helping others out of poverty, helping to relieve suffering, helping to improve the quality of life for others. So how do you do this thing called love? Through family business. So the first thing I want you to do is think differently. This mindset that we have is that, well, the entrepreneurs, they're the evil ones that make money over there. If you want to do good in the world, you go to churches and nonprofits. Look, those are two great institutions in terms of doing good in the world. But there is a place for family business owners to also do good in the world. In fact, I would say biblically, biblically, when for those of you who are thinking, well, isn't this competing with the church? And, shouldn't we let churches just do that? Well, biblically, you will often see families and communities. Like, look at that phrase. Like, just Google Bible verses and then put families and not communities, nations, which translates into community. Just look up families and nations. See how many times those references come up. Why? Because families are the bedrock of any community, any nation. Well, how can it be the bedrock if they're not giving wealth? I mean, let's face it, it does take money. It takes money to build housing. It takes money to buy food boxes. It takes money to buy fuel so that you can go to remote villages and provide hearing aids. This all takes money. Where is this coming from? It comes from individuals and it comes from families. Well, how do families acquire money? You can certainly get it by working for other people. But if you're listening to this show, you understand that I'm trying to build you up to get it from your own enterprise. So, of course, families are the wealth creators. And, of course, families should be having the central role in this whole effort of philanthropy. Of course. Think about all of the foundations out there. The largest private foundation, do you know who that is? Can you guess? Bill and Melinda Gates. Okay, who are they? Husband and wife team. Okay. Now, where did they get all of this money from? Yes, they have friends that they can go out to and acquire money, but where did they initially get the funds from? And where do they get the clout to go to billionaires and say, okay, we want money? That came from the world of business. And what was that business? Yeah, Bill Gates was running it. But do you know how Bill and Melinda met? Melinda was his manager. Oh, hold up. Yes. So we kind of see this picture, this husband and wife team working together in enterprise. They now go on to build the largest foundation in the world that they're now dedicated to full time. And they are having impact because it's worth so much money, because they were first and foremost entrepreneurs. So no matter what the take is on Bill and Melinda, let's just look at the model. Husband and wife team, highly successful in business, go on to fund the world's largest private foundation, husband and wife team, who has clout and impact in the world because they got all that money from the business world. That's the model I'm looking at. So if you're thinking, well, that's great, Daphne. We are not Bill and Melinda Gates. So, and we don't even give $100 a month. And you want us to do what now? Well, what I want you to do is just think differently. Let's just start there. We're just going to think differently. You become the solution in your community as the entrepreneur, and you make the change. So last week, again, we talked about priorities. Now, how do you get this done? How do you do this? Well, there are two ways. First, let's talk about forming a family foundation, a non-profit organization. Now, a lot of people have this conception because I'm so pro-business and so pro-family business and entrepreneurship that I must be anti-nonprofit. Not at all. This is a place for a nonprofit organization. I just have kind of like a checklist, a pathway, a priority, if you will, in terms of how you develop a community, how you uplift others out of suffering and out of poverty. Family first, who hopefully go on to build an enterprise, who then run very, very successful foundations, nonprofit entities, in order to collaborate with others and to give money back. So how does a foundation work? What does that look like? So when you form a foundation, I'm actually in the thick of it this summer myself, forming my own foundation. So I hope that I can practice what I'm preaching. So I am forming my foundation, Daphne Mallory Foundation. And the purpose of my foundation is really my purpose for everything, is I want to help alleviate poverty. I want to eradicate it specifically. And so my foundation would exist to support individuals and charities and others that are also like-minded in terms of their vision and goals. But they also have to be like-minded in terms of how they get there. So I'm looking for individuals and charities that are very entrepreneurial minded, that don't just have their hands out, but they kind of think like entrepreneurs. They want to collaborate with others. They know how to maybe start businesses. Did you know that nonprofits can start for-profit businesses? So those are the things I'm looking for. So anyway, so I'm starting this foundation. You also, as a family business owner, can launch your own foundation. You can say, all right, we exist to collect money or raise funds solely for the purpose of giving it away. You don't even have to run a program. You don't have to start a program. You don't have to worry about day-to-day operations of a nonprofit. You're just like, look, we need this shell to collect money, ask for donations once or twice a year through events or whatever it is we do, through crowdfunding, on and on and on. And then we're going to turn around and give the money back to our community. That's it. A private foundation. That's one option. A second option is a private operating foundation. So yes, you raise the funds, you collect the money, all of that good stuff. But you say, well, we also want to run our own programs. We've got some ideas. For instance, in my community, senior citizens are really, really struggling in terms of transportation. It's very hard for seniors to get to their doctors, even, quite frankly, to go to the grocery store. It's very sad. We don't have a public transportation system. So they have to rely on volunteers or good neighbors or friends or whatever to get them to these places. And there are some great organizations in our communities that need to be strengthened. I mean, they're like only maybe 3 or 4, and they need more money. It costs money for fuel and decent vehicles, et cetera, getting the word out for more volunteer drivers. And so you might say, well, I want to take that on as a program. I'm going to have the, Daphne Express, and we're going to run that thing all week long. We're going to make sure that seniors can call in and get a ride to wherever. So if you're doing that, if you are operating a program, then you can form what's called a private operating foundation. So not only are you giving money away to other individuals and groups, but you're also running your own programs that are near and dear to your heart. So as I explained earlier that I'm starting a foundation, my foundation this summer, my goal is to also make it a private operating foundation. There are some programs that are unique enough that, quite frankly, I haven't really seen, and that's just the entrepreneur in me. So I'm just going to run that thing. So I need to have a private operational foundation. So check your state, check your country, because I know I have a global audience. Each country operates differently. You might need to form an NGO, figure out what the laws are, talk to your attorney, talk to peers who are already doing it, and figure out the best type of organization to form legally in your country or in your state. Here's the thing. It all needs to come back to that family mission statement. If all you want to do is give out money to people, guess what? That's fine. It's appreciated. It's needed. Wow, if you could dedicate 100% of your time just to getting money, do you understand the burden that alleviates for many people in your community who don't have the access or skills or technology to go out there and hunt down money all day long? And if you can do that from the success of your family business, hello, that is needed. That's wonderful. That's not evil. That's great. However, if you have more time, more energy, more passion, or it's your family's calling to be very hands-on, then go with the other model. Develop programs around your passion. So those are the two ways that you can do what we were talking about in terms of executing these priorities that you want to see happen in your community. It starts with doing a foundation. Now, here's the other thing. Or I should say one option is forming a foundation. You could just say, hey, I'm just going to write out checks directly to these people. I don't want to deal with a foundation. If someone needs money, just come to me and let me know. I'll write you a check. And you can do that too. That's wonderful. So let's talk about that. I was in a conversation recently where the attitude seemed to be that, entrepreneurs are over there and the rest of the nonprofit world is over there. And the two just don't meet. And entrepreneurs just think they are above us because they've got the money and we don't. We as nonprofits have our hands out. And I remember leaving that conversation feeling very discouraged because that should never be that way. No one should ever think that way. That should never be happening. And it's sad to think that that may be happening. And that's awful. Well, quite frankly, I think that's stupid and dumb. If you're an entrepreneur and you have this mindset of I'm above everyone else in my community or in my sphere of influence, that's a surefire way not to have a long-lasting company. You might have spikes of, success here and there, but you will lose your loyalty to the next entrepreneur that has a helping hand. So that's just stupid. But beyond the stupidity factor, I was just concerned that we have this take or this feeling or this attitude that entrepreneurs are over there and nonprofits are over there. And entrepreneurs think they're above everyone else because they have the money and we have to go and beg for it. If you are the family business owner listening to me, listen to me. You have a tremendous opportunity in your community to change that around if that attitude exists. You can start meeting needs. You can start writing out checks. You can say, not interested in a foundation. No, thank you. Don't have the time, desire, whatever right now. But I can write out some checks. And what are we talking about? I have heard some people say, just $50. $50 would have just been all we needed for the mailing for this project, and we would have been done, but no one in this community would step up. Are you serious? $50, Mr. or Mrs. Family Business Owner? In your community right now, there are organizations and groups going, wow, if we just had $100 to buy our domain name and get the, initial website template up, then we could raise more money. Really? That should not be occurring anywhere near you. Like, I don't know, let's make it 200 miles of your family business. Because you should be able to step in with the resources like yesterday. But the problem is that sometimes as a family business unit, we can definitely become secluded somewhat sometimes, You're dealing with the day-to-day grind of running your family business. So you're just, it's 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours. On top of that, you have to now be parents. On top of that, you now have to be a spousal unit, perhaps. That's a lot of time and energy. And sometimes you can get lost in that world. I understand. Many of you know and understand that I'm a homeschool mom. So yeah, throw on top of that now educating your children. Yeah, it can get busy. I get it. And then, of course, volunteering and all of the other things just to be a good citizen, good community member, good person of faith. So I understand there's a lot of time commitment and things definitely competing for your attention. What I'm hoping to do with this show is to just literally jolt you out of that stream of everything competing for your attention and getting you to reprioritize things and think differently. Your family business should be having a direct impact in improving the quality of life for those around you. If I walked up into your town tomorrow, your country, your little block, and I said, hey, have you all heard of X family business? Would they say, yeah, I guess they own a location there? Would they say, no, I don't know who that is? Or would they say, wow, they do so much in this community. My daughter, my son, my aging parent was in need of would people sing your praises? Or would you just be Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous? Always busy, consumed with building a business and forgetting the end, beginning with the end in mind, which is to help those around you. What would they say? I know that's tough. Don't you dare click the radio or whatever button, MP3. I know it's tough. Hang with me. Trust me. The pain of this episode will produce much fruit. So I understand. And look, I wasn't always this, aware of everything I'm telling you. I have to share with you that as an entrepreneur with, 4 children, no, community was not always top of mind. Surviving and earning enough money to pay our bills and making sure that they had a different quality of life than I had, that was more priority for me. In fact, not more, that was the only thing on my mind. And it was this race. I just always felt that I was in this entrepreneurial race to the top. You know, that rat race that entrepreneurs so willingly and happily try to escape? Well, there's another race. That rat race doesn't go away. It just becomes a different type of race. The race to get, X amount of likes per week. The race to make 10% or more in profits. The race to land, 5 contracts per day, whatever that race is. And so it takes moments like this, and hopefully this show would be helpful for you to step back for a second and say, okay, wait a minute. I acknowledge that I kind of created this rat race for ourselves in our family business, but we can change. We can turn this around. It's okay. Now we've learned. Now we know better, and now we'll do better. So that's what I want you to think about. So the end of that conversation, I left thinking, entrepreneurs need to make the community and those around them more aware of the fact that they are ready and available and, oh no, humble to serve through giving wealth and to serve through giving time where needed, advice, energy. Do you know that some nonprofits don't understand how to sell? They don't, like you say, sell to them and they think evil. They have no idea what you're talking about when you say things like, well, maybe you should pick up the phone and call donors have a script ready, practice it, rehearse it. This is how you ask for money. They're like, what are you talking about? They're oftentimes consumed in this world of grant finding and grant getting and grant applying, that the notion of picking up the phone and calling a business owner and asking them for cash, are you crazy? Is a foreign notion. You as the family business owner, that should be your day-to-day life. You understand that you have to pick up the phone or you have to email or whatever, call people to land a sale. So just being available to advise, just to give your knowledge, advise people. I remember being in a room talking about Kickstarter, and people are like, what? Kickstarter? What is that? Just simple little things that you are aware of because you just interact with this on a daily basis. Share. Don't keep that bottled up. Share that knowledge with that executive director, foundation director, board director, who hasn't a clue, perhaps, how to get more money for their organization. Or worse, they no longer have hope or energy that they can actually get it done. And you can be the one with a little bit of time and even better cash to help them get to the next place and level in their nonprofit or foundation. So don't hide. Don't hide yourself. Don't hide your family business. And when we come back on the other side, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we really take this to action. How do we do the good work? Now that we've defined our priorities, how do we get it done? You're listening to Daphne Mallory on Family Business with Daphne, and I'll see you on the other side.
Everyday people do everyday things, but I can't be one of them. I know you hear me now. We are a different kind.
Hi, I'm Harry Anderson. For a good, uncomplicated way to exercise, take a walk. At any age, walking is one of the best ways to keep your heart fit and your joints limber, without the injuries that jogging or some aerobics can cause. Ask your shoe salesman for a shoe that's designed for walking. And ask your doctor to help you plan an exercise walking program that's right for you. Soon, you'll be on the road to better health.
A message from the Will Rogers Institute, wrinstitute.org.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
This is a guided meditation on parenting. Take a deep breath in and let go of the time you and your son played basketball and you attempted to slam dunk. Or when you hit that piñata into your neighbor's yard. Let it go.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
There's a price tag on almost everything. Whether you drive a shiny new 1952 model or a pre-war jalopy, you had to pay the price. And when you're driving that car, remember that speed also has its price. The price tag on speed violations last year was 15,000 killed and 500,000 injured. This year, thousands of lives can be saved if you and millions of other motorists come to the sober realization that speed is the biggest killer on the highways and resolve to slow down before you or someone else pays the price that must be paid for it. You can do your part by keeping within speed limits. At all times, drive as though your life depends on it. It does.
You're back listening to Family Business with Daphne, talking about how do you do this thing. What is this thing, actually? Let's be real clear. This thing that I'm talking about is love. I am asking you that in this world that we live in, communities across the world are struggling, quite frankly, with this mindset of fear and scarcity. The fear is that there's just not enough money to go around. There's not enough money for nonprofits. There's not enough money to support causes. There's not enough money from ordinary people to support good works in our neighborhoods, in our town, etc. Just not enough. So a lot of fear and scarcity often brings out competition, right? So now you have nonprofits. They're all, quote unquote, competing for the same funding. They're going to the same funding sources. They all have their hands out. Help me, help me, help me. And they're sitting there wondering, are we able to meet our budget goals this year? All of this fear. I say, entrepreneur, wow, what an opportunity. Because you understand the risk. You understand how to take risks. You understand how to, quote unquote, create money from nothing, right? From thin air. That's what you do as a family business owner. You like to go to places where there's, quote unquote, no money or nothing happening, because you understand that's where the opportunity is. You're like, wow, I'm the big fish in a small pond. Nothing's going on here. Here I go. I'm going to, blaze the path. All of these things that are so natural to you as an entrepreneur and family business owner is not natural to someone who doesn't have that calling. Many people in the non-profit world, be that a ministry, a church organization, a just basic 501c3, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them don't have that go-getter, let's risk it all, because quite frankly, they're like, look, we love this cause. We don't want to mess it up. So you as the entrepreneur, you have an amazing opportunity. You understand how to take risks. You understand how to sell. You understand how to gather others to support something bigger than themselves. You might be like, okay, I have never done anything like that. So why do you keep saying I can do this? Well, I know you can do this because that's the call of the entrepreneur. Just go research 10 of your most favorite entrepreneurs. You'll find this in their story, that they were able to lead others around a cause, around a mission. They went places where others would not go. They got fired from their own companies. They were shunned by their own families in the beginning stages. I interviewed a couple this week. I love conducting interviews. Anyway, I interviewed a couple this week. They were refugees from Vietnam. The husband part of the husband and wife team. He was like being shot at and all this stuff. He met his wife in a refugee camp, and they both fled to the United States. What is that? Risk taking? They came here and decided, we're going to start a business. I mean, you don't think they could raise money, that they would have any qualms after that experience calling people up and saying, can we have $10 for the next gala? I think they could do that. I think that nothing would hold them back in that circumstance. In fact, I know it wouldn't, because I know they also now give back through scholarships and other means. So there are entrepreneurs out there who have such stories and such backgrounds that the idea of calling someone up on the phone and raising money for causes, or going on television to raise awareness about a cause, or calling up their peers at their service club meetings and this and that, they're like, please, that's the least we can do. And that's what I want you to do. I'm telling you, this is part of your identity. You were made for this. Go get it done. No one in your community should be struggling while your family business exists. I understand that this is radical, what I'm saying. And I understand that responsibility is very, very weighty. It's something I feel myself every single day when people come up to me, and they do, with different issues and things that are going on around me. I really feel hurt. As an entrepreneur, I think, oh my goodness, this is happening in my community. And what have I done? What should I be doing? What could I be doing about this? Now, I don't aim to, quote unquote, save the world. I can't. Please, if you're looking for Daphne Mallory to save the world, I think you should try a different plan. I think one was already laid out 2,000 plus years ago, and you should go with that one. His name is Jesus. Do not look to me to save the world. But what I can do in my community is say, okay, how can we get these groups together in a room talking? How can we, what are the issues? What are the concerns? What are the strategies? How can we market this? Because I'm in the media a lot, something as simple as, well, have you all gotten a national press coverage for this? No, we live here in this whatever community. Why would we get national coverage? As an entrepreneur, I'm thinking, why wouldn't you get national coverage? And you must get national coverage. And this is how you get it, because you have no idea who's going to read your story and say, wow, I want to support that woman, that man, that family in their efforts to solve this problem, that problem, because it's close to my mission. You don't live in your community alone. You live in the global community. So don't just even think nationally, think globally. Someone on the other side of the world might say, wow, X issue is really close to my heart. And over there in the States, in that community, they don't have funding to solve this issue. I'll go ahead and do that. That's what people do. That's what entrepreneurs do. So that's how you get it done. You raise an awareness, you write out checks, and you run foundations where you can collaborate with other entrepreneurs around the world so that they put more money in the pot so that you do more good works. Whoa. Now, if you're not sitting on a board somewhere, you need to be doing that in the next 30 to 60 days. I mean, come on. If you are a family business owner and you have the skills, or you're even acquiring the skills and you're learning new things to build a business, there is a board out there for you that you need to participate on. As think about the nonprofits in your communities who could use someone that they could, in the middle of the meeting go, well, I don't know. I don't even know. Trust me, this has happened in a few meetings. Well, how do you post something on Facebook? That it's something as simple as that. Or, well, how do you get a reporter to come out and cover your organization? Or, I get this a lot only because of my legal background. I do get tons of legal questions, but most of the questions or conversations are not technical at all. It's very simple things that exist every single day in your business world, and they just need you in the room. at that board meeting to say, well, what's your idea? How would you problem solve this? Or this team member that we've hired, they are just not participating. They're not getting the work done. Should we fire them? And as a business owner who creates jobs for others, who works with others, you will have that expertise to share with them in terms of what to do. You become the advisor. So make it your goal within the next 30 to 60 days. If you have not sat on a board, please go find one to participate in, because they need your help and expertise and advice and strategies and marketing and on and on and on. Please find one. That's one. Even if you say, I'm not starting my business till 2016, you can at least still do that. That would be a tremendous help. So that's one way that you can serve. Here's another way. Many communities and countries have task force, special committees. These are all related to your city government, even on a national level. I spoke to a peer of mine this week as well, who was asked by our president to sit on an economic initiative. And he's just like, he doesn't live in D.C. He gets flown out, I think, once a quarter to go participate in this. But that's his passion. That's part of his business. He wants to help people thrive economically. And so he was asked to be a part of the president's committee. And that's what he's doing. You can do that as a family business owner. You might say, well, we kind of live here, but we don't really feel called to do our nonprofit work here. And that's fine too, by the way. Some of you might decide, as you know, I'm from Liberia. Hey, we are from a different country and we want to rebuild that country. That's okay. So back to what I was saying about this peer of mine, he was being flown out. It's a national board. Think beyond your borders. There are national groups, national organizations that you could be a part of to help solve national issues in your country and beyond. Think big. Hello, Mr. and Miss Entrepreneur. Remember, we think big. There's so many ways that you can help. So if you're not part of a special committee or commission, you might want to think about that. And now some of you are like, whoa, we don't want anything to do with government. In fact, we are entrepreneurs because we don't like government. That's a whole nother show. But suffice it to say, you'll understand that when you start researching different committees and commissions within your state, country, wherever, just kind of count the number of those people that you find on the list. How many of them are business owners? You'll probably find that a good number, if not the majority, are business leaders. Why? Because these committee and commissions need business thinkers. They need people who understand budgets and collaboration and running teams. They want people with influence. They want those people to go back into their community and say, okay, everybody, we are on board with X. And who has influence in communities? Business leaders. Period. So you be that family business leader and be a part of a commission. Hey, it might be a strategy. Here's a ninja tactic for you. You might say, well, you know what? I live in a small town and it's all locked up. The same people are doing the same things, the same circles, eating the same lunches together all week long, and I'm sick of it, and no one else can break through. Well, you become that business owner then, right? That gets national attention, gets involved in these national commissions, and gets the seat at the table nationally. Give it about 60 days and see what happens back in your backyard. That's all you need. Give it about 30 to 60 days. And now all of a sudden, you might have people go, well, now what were you saying again? What is it you wanted? What change were you proposing? What is it you want us to do? People will listen. Influence. Business owners can have influence. Influence creates change. And through influence, you can serve. And it is your duty as a family business owner to get as much influence as possible. period, in your industry, in your community, and in your nation. Why? Because that's when people listen. No one listens to the person on the street corner who has no influence. Even though that person may have the most brilliant ideas to solve world hunger, no one is going to listen to him or her. It's unfortunate. It should not be that way, but it's the truth. And how do many people get influence? Money, wealth. That's it. And how do you get money and wealth? Through business ownership. Is this chaotic, cyclical? It's age old. That's how it's worked from the beginning of time. That's how it will continue to work. And so it's unfortunate, but I've definitely understood and come to that realization that to be a do-gooder for me, because this is my calling as an entrepreneur. Now, if I want to be a pastor and a do-gooder, my path and strategies would be different. This would not be the show to cultivate a strategy on how to be a do-gooder as a pastor. This is a show for how to be a do-gooder as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I have to think, how can I create wealth? And how can I create influence? And funnel that back through my family out into communities and into the world. Period. And your reward for that, family business owner, I'm glad you asked, because I know you're thinking, you're like, well, that's great. That's wonderful. We still have bills to pay. And, we've been burnt in the past and we've given out money and, we're still struggling here day to day. How does it come back? It comes back. When you think about, if I said, who are the 5 most influential people in your community? And I said, quick, don't edit, just think. You're going to think about the people who are the do-gooders. People remember those who give back to the community as part of your brand, as part of your marketing. People will remember your name. They may not do business with you for the first, year or two, but it's long lasting. They'll remember your name. Your name will come up in conversation. People will say, you know what? And in fact, I heard that last week. I was in a car with someone who said, did you know, Daphne, I met someone who said that they heard you give a talk and all of a sudden they're homeschooling. I was like, really? And I didn't know that. The person who made that decision never contacted me, never heard about it. The person in the car ride told me about it. That's influence. That's what I want you to create. On a massive scale, I want you to think huge, big, wide, and I want you to go for it. That's wonderful, entrepreneur. It's not evil. So back to that conversation I had. Part of my work now with my foundation is to share that hope and message that family business owners and entrepreneurs are not evil people. We can be vessels of love. Is every entrepreneur good? No. Are there some nasty-minded, talking, deal-making entrepreneurs out there? Yes. Can you say that for any other industry? Yes. Don't single out the entrepreneur. Everyone. You'll find that everywhere. But there are many of us called to a different place and who are called to serve. We're going to do that. We're going to make lots of money doing it. And we understand our responsibility is therefore to give back. That is the message. Woohoo! Yeah, high five. You just play this all week till you get your family on board, or a month, however long it takes. I completely get that. So what I want you to do is decide your priorities. Well, what can we do as a family? Once you start making money, you're going to have everybody come up to you for ticket sales, sponsor this table, pay my college, pay my rent, on and on and on and on. Trust me. So now is a good time to start deciding what your priorities are and what your boundaries are. I know my playing field. It's around poverty. It's solving poverty. And that's through entrepreneurship and family business. And in there, you're going to have things that it may not look like it makes sense, but it does. Dealing with elevating and honoring and helping senior citizens, dealing with providing college tuition and assistance to economically disadvantaged students so that they can get whatever they need to build their business. They can have that option. It's going to look like, raising funds and doing projects maybe around building incubators to house entrepreneurs for like a year or two, so that by the time they are done with the incubator, they're on a solid footing. But it's gonna look very different and creative, and it has to, because I'm an entrepreneur. But at the end of the day, if you said, Daphne, how does this tie back to ending poverty? I will have a one-liner for you ready to go, because that's what our family is called to. You figure out your thing. If it's health, dealing with health issues, dealing with unwanted pregnancies and helping teens through that process and making sure that they choose abstinence. Oh, no, she said abstinence. Yep. Okay. Whatever your heart song is, you figure out your priority and then you fund it. And that's influence. I was listening to something on YouTube with Melinda Gates, and I remember she said, well, they didn't have women's health on the agenda. So we went out and raised money and got it on the agenda. And I said, you know what? Look at that. If that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. People with the money set the agenda. And again, who should have the money? Entrepreneur, family business owner. That's you. So this should motivate you to create even more money now. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought this was a nonprofit show. No. So let's just review. My goal is that you will create the most money possible from your business, right? To create wealth for your family and then to channel that wealth into your community and into your country. I don't want you to make $20 a year or $20,000 a year from your business. I want you to shoot for like $1 billion family business. Why? Because you set the agenda. Do you think if you walked up to any nonprofit and said, okay, I have a check for $1 million endowment fund, and I say we make providing senior citizens transportation for them a priority. How many of you think you're going to hear no? No, thank you. We don't want that $1 million. We're not going to solve that problem. I don't think so. I think you are going to they're going to be like, what? Well, we were just going to have a ice cream kind of fundraising thing for books this year, but yeah, senior transportation, we're on that. How do we start? They're going to research it. They're going to learn real quick how to solve senior transportation in your community. And I keep bringing this up because it just made me livid to learn that, and I am sure this is happening in many communities, that senior citizens are stuck, stranded in their homes because they're immobile. So, hello, where do you get your groceries from? How do you get to the doctor? How do you go to church or whatever it is you want to get to? You have to deal with it socially, emotionally, and just all this stuff, but they're stuck because we don't have transportation. So you can tell what's going to be part of my agenda. But whatever that is for you, when you have money on the table, you're going to see and hear a lot less no's. And that is good. That is a great thing, entrepreneur. So you just go out and make as much money. Like every day you'd be like, oh, this is going to be sales day. I'm going to hit this with contracts and do my sales calls and make my presentations. I'm going to make money. And I'm going to make so much money because I need to love my family and I need to love my community. And yes, and they're like, oh my goodness. Yes. And part of that equates to money, not love of money, love with money. There's nothing loving about watching people around you stranded in poverty. There is nothing loving about that. It is loving to fund solutions so that it can come out of the poverty. That is love. Say it with me. Love with money. It's good. It's great. It's okay. Money is our friend. We can use money. Money is a tool. I want this to sink in your head, okay? Money is because some of you have this mental block. Really. The reason why some of you are not making money and making more sales because you're saying, like many nonprofits are saying to you, money is evil. You know, good people wear wraps. They don't wear suits. They shave their head and they go to a different country, and that is love. You, Mr. Entrepreneur, with your suits and your cars and your deal making and your boardroom sit downs and your gourmet luncheons, you are just evil, and there's nothing loving about that. And so some of you have adopted this mindset. No. Now, if that's all you do, of course, okay? But if you understand, no. I can, have the car. I can do the gourmet meal. In fact, I kind of don't like it, but I have to do it because the potential client there, that's what he or she's into. And I need to land that sale so that I can then support my family. And then out of that, support my community. Fine, I will don a suit and enjoy a salmon meal or whatever it is that day. Period. It's okay. It's what you have to do. Many of those same entrepreneurs you will find in sweats and socks at their home in front of the computer. They could care less. They are just trying to have that end goal met. Is my family better? Not just in this generation, but for 4 generations to come. And then is my community better? Can I sit there and think it's okay that senior citizens are stuck inside their home, starving to death because they can't get out? That is not okay. So I will pick up the phone in the morning and I will practice my sales script and I will make a sale. And then I'll be sure that a % of that goes back into my foundation or into my program or into that organization over there that's got that under control. Write out a check for them. And that is love. Woo! Let that soak in. It's okay. If you disagree, I want to hear from you. Definitely write me. Give me a shout out on Facebook. If that is way too much, if you have a disagreement with that, I would love to discuss it with you. Love to discuss it with you. But for the rest of you, if you're on board and you got this, guess what? You're in trouble now because now you're accountable. So sorry, because you heard it. Now you're accountable. Now you have to go out and do something about it. I'm sorry. I probably should have warned you in the beginning. But now that you've understood the message, if you now don't do something about it, it's going to be really bad for business. So be sure to take what I said to heart and actually do something about it. And let me know too, in the next 30, 60 days, say, you know what? We decided that we were just going to go take out a meal to 5 seniors in our neighborhood, Daphne. We're just going to start there and make sure that we're taken care of. So just start there and send me notes. Let's start like a love revolution. Wouldn't that be interesting if a love revolution was started by entrepreneurs in this country? Wouldn't that be amazing? Maybe we'll just start that. And then you just send me your little love notes and I can share it on this radio program and on social media and make sure everyone knows that no, entrepreneurs are not evil. Family business owners are not evil. We can be love if we choose love. Yeah, I'm just gonna soak that up. You've been listening to Family Business with Daphne. It has been such an honor and a pleasure to spend this time with you on 103.9 FM KDKI. Make sure that you check me out online on Facebook, Daphne Mallory ESQ, and you can also find me on my blog, daphnemallory.blogspot.com. See you next time.